Hello, everybody. Andy here from Glass Half Dead, the #1 kill team channel on YouTube. Unless, of course, you're aware of literally any other channel on YouTube. You know what day it is today? It is official balance patch day. Last week, I did a video talking about the changes that I would like to see, or at least the most conservative guesses we might see on what we might see. And it's come today on a Wednesday, which is when we normally get app updates. So pretty much as expected. Earlier than I expected, I will say, but that's great. Love it, big fan. So here's the thing. Before I dive into it, I am going to read every single thing that we've had updated, of course. There is an article if you want to go to Warcom. The designer, one of the designers of Kill Team, Layla, has done an article for Warcom, so you can read it in a narrative form here, or you can get the raw rules as written via the actual updates themselves if you want. Obviously, update your apps now. It's all live, but it's also all up on Warcom. So there you go. Cool. I will say, before I get started, I love Balance Update Day. It comes around every 3 months, and I really enjoy it. It is probably the best days that we get in Kill Team from a pure excitement perspective. Even more so, I would argue, than New Team Day. New Team Day inevitably comes with imperfect rules. And although undoubtedly there are probably imperfect rules here in the updates as well, I feel that it's just a fun time as we get a little bit closer and people get changes and people can have some hope and inspiration. Isn't that nice? I like it. To be clear, I have not read these rules. Maybe we'll read it and we'll say, oh my God, what were they smoking? From a very quick overview, we've had quite a lot of changes, but not changes to everything. It seems they're really struggling to get the Scout Squad right. We are presumably getting nerfs to Murderwing, Wolf Scouts, something else. Don't know. Claw, I think. So basically, if I see an elite team being touched, I assume it's a nerf because they're all too strong. Nice, good. And yeah, I don't know. I'm just happy. I just like that this exists. It's fun. It's good. Okay. With that said, there's also a quick note, because inevitably this will be a very long video. Do keep in mind, if we scroll over to this bad boy here, I'll shrinkify myself in a sec. Don't worry. Right now, actually, I apologize. Here we go. Do note there are things like commandos. I think it was Death Call, maybe. But there are some unclassified teams that have been changes, novitiates, that I'm not going to talk about just because it's already such a long video. And hey, if you're watching a balance update for Kill Team, you already know what it all is. But I'm just getting it out there that I think, from my perspective, it's cool to play any team you want. But inevitably, if I'm going to a tournament, it tends to be a classified tournament. Not because I'm grinding hard, just because I don't know. It's just how it works out for me, where I'm situated, the tournaments I go to, etc. And I don't want to be kind of promoting teams that arguably people that aren't fully in the know are going to pick up and then not be able to play at their local tournament or the tournament that they go to, which tends to be the largest tournaments. There you go. Just throwing that out there. But if you're into those, there have been some changes. It's good that they're still updating those teams. I assume they're going on pure vibes because I don't think anybody plays those teams anymore, but nice. Cool. Right. Cool. I'm not going to go, I'm going to go through this in the order that it is on this list. So if you're looking for the Wolf Scouts specifically, that's a way away. But before we get into kind of the team, the back and forth of that, we actually have some really interesting core rules changes, which I'm going to talk about right now. So first things first, we have an update to the approved ops. And this is interesting, actually. So we have updates to Seek and Destroy. So Seek and Destroy is a series of TAC ops that has absolutely screwed the next video that I'm going to release on this channel, which is a smooth break guide to TAC ops, because I should have mentioned all of this in that. But anyway, so we have a buff to both Dominate and Sweep and Clear. If you don't know Dominate and Sweep and Clear, Dominate's not a bad TAC op, but it does demand a certain style of play to score consistently and into certain teams. Sweep and Clear was a TAC op that you should just never ever take. Let's have a read, see if that has now changed. So, Dominate. Now, Basically, instead, it's kind of a mixture of dominate and whatever the tackle was called last time, where if you kill something with 12 or more wounds, you get 2 dominate tokens instead of 1. Uh, cool, that's nice. This will make it a little bit more viable into elites, I suppose, but it still has the same restriction of when you should and how you should play your team if you pick dominate. You still have to live at the end of turn 3 and 4, which is its own thing. It has become easier to score if you're good at scoring it already. So that's good, I suppose. We then get the change to sweep and clear, and I think they've just changed the whole thing, so let's have a read. At the end of each turning point after the first, if at least one objective marker, excluding your objective marker, is cleared and enemy operatives do not contest that marker, you score 1 VP. Okay? So if it's cleared, so you have to clear it. If that marker also has one of your swept tokens, you score 2 VP instead. If friendly operatives control an objective marker that has one of your swept tokens, you score 1 VP. Okay. Okay, fine. Sorry. Let's immediately slow down and reread this sentence as I attempt to understand a rule for the first time. At the end of each turn point after the first, if at least one objective marker, excluding yours, is cleared, the enemy operatives do not contest that marker. Oh, okay. So it used to be to be a specific one. Now it's saying any of them can be. And okay, fine. Don't play it. Cool. Right, rules compatibility. Because this is also new for the Martyr's TACOP. Would an objective still gain a Martyr token if my operative was incapacitated by something other than an enemy operative, e.g. blast weapon used by friendly operative, mine user? Yes. That's cool. I like that. Good decision. If you blow up your own guy with a blast token or weapon that pops off onto them, they still die. I think that's really cool. Good. We then have more rules updates for the core rules. So this, from the looks of the diagram, is then going to be answering a couple of questions like, can you wall run and can you chain climbs? So I'm going to read all of this. It's going to be dense. Get yourself a cake. Jesus Christ, this is going to take a while. Right. How does a rule which allows you to ignore any changes to an operative's weapon stats, e.g. Inquisitorial Agents, the Hemorrhager's Will, the Exact Squad Cascadator, engendered focus, interact with rules which reduce the damage inflicted? You can ignore rules which change the operative's damage stats, but cannot ignore rules which cause the damage inflicted to be reduced. Now look, I'm okay with that. It's probably the right choice for the game. However, it is purely arbitrary. There is no reason that the damage stat is not just a stat like any other. So there you go. And they're not explaining it here. If there is a reason, they haven't explained it here. It's a bit of a tough one when it comes to FAQs because it's entirely possible that what they're referencing is the fact that the operative stats and weapon stats are different things, and actually the thing that changes the operative stat doesn't change the weapon stat. But if what they're saying is that they haven't spelt that out at all, it would definitely be interesting if in rules commentary, kind of they decided to actually reference why things work that way. If I'm not reading this again. This video is going to take so long if I actually read the rules and understand them. My God, that's not what Kill Team's about, right? You know, read half the rule and just wing it from that. That's how we should be playing the game. But if they actually referenced the pages and said this line here and this line here, would actually give us a really interesting insight into the logic that they put behind why they answered the questions the way they do. How does climbing and dropping work across different parts of terrain or different terrain features during one action? This is something that's been asked lots of times and doesn't really have a good answer. Total up the combined vertical distance during the action before rounding increments. For climbing, an operative can continue its climb so long as the next terrain is within 1 inch horizontally and 3 inch vertically. Cool. So I think this is very important that they have answered, and they have now. That's good. That gives us the answer we need, because there are things on the official Volcus map layouts where you just don't know the answer. This, I think, is the logical way it should work. Cool. I'm glad that they have defined it for us. If a piece of terrain is within 1 inch of another piece of terrain, you just can keep on climbing. We can also, I'm going to assume, unless they say something else in the diagrams here, they are also This will always come up in all map layouts, not just the focus ones, because of course we can put down player place terrain. So now, if you put down a barricade within 1 inch of a wall, that barricade might as well not be there. People are just going to climb over it, right? Good to know. Of course, now, knowing the kill team community, they will put it 1.1 inch away. Nice. And let's just have a... I'm going to have another quick read, sorry. Total up the combined vertical distance during the action before rounding increments. For climbing, an operative can continue its climb so long as the next terrain is within 1 inch. So, the 1 inch is an interesting choice because a 32 mil base is over 1 inch, as we all know. In fact, all bases are over 1 inch, technically. So, you still have the question of what do you do when a barricade is next to a wall and you then can't put your base down next to it? Look, I'm just being an asshole. To be clear, very clearly, you just keep going. Forget this. You just let them keep climbing. But if your base can't be placed within that gap, then logically you should be able to keep going. But by putting this here, they're now saying actually you can't do that. Interesting. Okay, fine, cool. I don't care. I would never force that upon my opponent. I say no. You just keep going. Obviously, but fine, cool. That's good to know. I'm going to read example 2, the one right behind me here, because I thought I was talking about wall running. In example 2, the operative climbs one section of the terrain featured 2 inches up, then continues its climb another 1.5 inches vertically. Okay. Interesting. The distance is only rounded up once, meaning the operative uses 4 inches of its movement allowance towards the vertical distance of the climb. Okay. Fine. Interesting. That is how I would play that. I don't know how often that's going to come up, but it makes sense, I suppose. I guess people were being quite finicky about when do you actually use that that horizontal move if you're climbing up the barrel and then climbing up the rest of the wall, which technically are 2 different climbs if you start far enough away from that wall to make the climb, I guess. In example 1, the operative moves over 2 different terrain features and moves a total of 2.5 inches vertically up before dropping 1 inch once. Okay. It can climb the second terrain feature without dropping, as it's within 1 inch of it before it needs to drop from the first. Oh, okay, so it does include base size. Oh, well, that's fine then. Cool, good. Because it's before it needs to drop, you need to drop when your base is over it. Cool, okay, that's fine. That's perfect. Does that mean that a 50 mil base is going to have a larger gap that it can cross before having to drop and start a second climb? Yes. Does it matter? No. Great. Cool. Okay. I'm happy with those 2 changes. That seems fine. I'm happy with that. Good. We then have, not the Murderwing, sorry. There's another one in here. Here we go. Tomb World. There's been a slight update to Tomb World, and that is whatever the flip this says. An operative cannot teleport more than once per activation. Cool. Nice. This per activation. Is there a way to reposition twice? In your own activation? There must be, I suppose. Either way, you can't do that. There you go. You can still be teleported multiple times in a turn, just not in your own activation. Cool. Okay, boom. Right, that was the first opening salvo of the rules updates. We've had some updates to TAC Ops there and to the core rules, mainly climbing. Good stuff. I like to see it. Excellent. With that said, shall we get on to the rest of it? But of course, before we get on to the rest of it, I would like to give a subscriber-only benefit, and that subscriber-only benefit is a big double hello. Well, so wholesome, truly the wholesomeness knows no bounds to the world of Glass Half Dead. Don't forget to stay hydrated, as I will have to, because it is a long video, I'm sure. Oh, hey, if you're wholesome, do consider checking out my affiliate links from all these lovely shops. I use these 3 Element Wayland Red October in the UK. I use Northern Citadel in Canada and Wargame Portal in America. Cost you nothing extra. I get a little kickback. If you don't like me, do use your favorite YouTubers affiliate link because we all have them. It's a great way to give back. Of course, you should be buying at your FLGS first, but beyond that, check out these. Likewise, if you're a kill team, a gamer like myself, and I assure you, if you're 50 minutes into a video from Glass Half Dead, you bloody well are, mate. Sorry to break the news to you. Do consider checking out Crossfire or GG Easy and all of their ecosystem of different cool kill team things you can get. And this time, if you use my affiliate link, you get money off, and I get money, and that's great for the economy. Okay, so let's move on to what am I looking at? Not that, sorry. Murderwing. So Murderwing just got nerfed, right? They did an emergency nerf, and I think it's fair to call them that. In their thing. Wait, is this no, this is this what we already had? No. This is new. Okay. More. Let's start with the rules commentary. Can I use Wings of Darkness during the activation that a Warp Talon operative is set up from the warp to use more than 4 inches of move distance during the activation? No. Good. I don't know what Wings of Darkness was, to be clear, but you can't do it. In general, Kill Team has a rule set where if something says you can do something and something says you can't do something, you always have to keep in mind limitations before allowances. There are very, very few exceptions to that. There you go. Unless something specifically says you can break this rule, you can't break that rule. The perfect example, of course, being perform a free action. It's not free in any way, shape, or form. It's free, of course. Yeah, mate, I know. I'm the one that made the video where I coined the term it's free of cost. Trust me. Fucking no. Anyway, let's talk about the errata. Faction equipment, Vox casters, Vox cry action. This is Murderwing. What the? Okay. Each relevant part of first sentence change read each other with 2 inches. So it used to be 3 inches, I assume. Now it's 2 inches. That's fine. Cool. Warp Talon operative, slice the veil rule. So continuous activation is normal, but during that activation, you cannot spend more than 2 AP for it, and it cannot use more than 4 inches of move distance. Okay. So I'm assuming. This seems like a big nerf if I'm reading it correctly. It's possible that the rule I'm thinking of is actually in a different part. But basically, you used to be able to warp in, and that was an AP, and then you could do 2 more things because you had 3 AP, but you still couldn't move over 4. Now you can warp in, and you can then only spend 2 AP. Okay. And it cannot use more than 4. And you're no longer obscure, but nobody cares about that. Fine. Okay, fine. The only thing I'm questioning here, and I'd have to go and read the original rule, so I can't answer this, because it's already changed on all of the official documents, is... And it's partly me misremembering. It's been obviously this team was totally OP bullshit, so I wouldn't play it, and I wouldn't even read about it or play against it, so I don't know what this team does anymore. But I assumed that when you warp Talon operative in, it didn't count as a reposition because you could still move afterwards, but it cost you an AP to do it. So, or could you actually warp in for free? That would be mad. They wouldn't have done that. So I'm assuming that part of the warp in is 2 AP, so you can now warp in and then do 1 other action. Instead of warp in and do 2 actions, which would have always been warp in, charge fight, or warp in, tap a point, shoot, whatever. Cool. Okay, so a few more minor nerfs there. These minor nerfs on top of the previous nerfs, cool. They've definitely clipped the wings, the jetpack wings of the Murderwing there. We go to the Plague Marines. Now, the Plague Marines recently had a buff after a huge nerf. They've given a bolt pistol to the heavy gunner and fighter operatives. That's good. Big fan. Least they could do is all I could say to that. Plague Marines are a really odd one to balance. I think they're a really good team, but 5-inch move sucks. So I'm not really overly interested in them. But if you ignore the fact that I personally don't like a 5-inch move, I think they're actually a really, really solid team. And I would happily recommend them to anyone that likes the vibe, the aesthetic, wants to get started in the game, and doesn't care about 5-inch move. Cool. That just makes them a smidge more flex. Blah. Right, reanimation protocols update. Okay, weird. So, faction rules. As reanimated operatives are no longer incapacitated for the purposes of the kill op, it means your opponent's kill rate can go down during the battle. They lose VP accordingly. However, it won't retroactively change any other. So I assume that at some point the team was nerfed so that every kill didn't go away when they reanimated. It and I suspect that they would have done a double hit where they did the you lose your kill op, or your kill the enemy's kill op goes higher, and at the same time, I forgot where this sentence was going. They also made it only a 5 kill op team. And then those compounded, and now they're saying, okay, actually, you're still a 5 kill op team, so it's still easier to score against you, but the reanimation, you come back. I think that's probably fine. I think that's probably fine. We go to the Blades of Khaine, and I did not see this coming at all. A Blades of Khaine buff? I'm shooketh. So, the Striking Scorpions get a buff to be a 3-up save. Now, I have thoughts. Blades of Khaine are a very good team. They are currently out of favor in the meta because Canoptek Circle basically hard countered them, along with the new, 2025 approved ops. Could have totally changed depending on how they end up needing to score in the next approved ops, of course. But they did not need a better save. That was not something that was holding the team back. This is a buff purely for theme. There you go. Thematically, Striking Scorpions, despite also being the stealthy guys, have always had the highest armor save. It's always been a 3-up in 40k, whereas everything else has always been a 4-up in 40k. So they're just buffing for that. Cool. Makes sense. Because it's not something the team needs at all, and it's not why they were losing or winning, fine. Fix the theme. Why not? Why not? And it's not like they're currently smashing face, so let's do it. Then they get a Nemclaw update. Now, Nemclaw have been, I would say, my personal nemesis. Nemesis Claw are my nemesis because I think they're bullshit. Now, let's read these 3 changes and see if it's changed anything I care about. So, strategy deploys prey sight. So they've rewritten the whole rule. Whenever a friendly Nemclaw operative performs the shoot action, you can use this rule. If you do, until the end of that action, that friendly operative's ranged weapons have the range 6-inch and seek light weapon rules. Interesting. I can only guess what that's changed. So when I think of prey sight, I thought it gave them 6-inch. You get seek light within 6 inches. And that's what it still does. I am gonna guess this was a buff because it used to be it had to be on a bolter weapon, but now it can be on anything. Maybe pass. I thought they could always just do this, but probably only on bolt weapons. So now you can do this on a gunner, I guess. In Midnight Clad, second bullet point change to read: it's within 1 inch of heavy terrain that's not lower than it. What did this used to be? Or any part of its base is underneath vantage terrain. So this feels to me like it used to just be that it's within 1 inch of heavy terrain. And now that heavy terrain can't be lower than it. But I felt like that was already part of the point. Okay. Why are they making changes that make no difference to how people have played this team into me? I'm so confused. Living operative, Terror weapon rule, inflict damage with any crit successes, including as a result of Dev's weapon rule. What the fuck are these changes? Okay, to my mind, Nemclaw hasn't been changed because all of these things people have done into me already. Good. Now, I do accept, to be clear, sorry, these are all blue text, not magenta text. And therefore, they are technically clarifications. And so whatever my opponents were doing, apparently they were doing correctly. Because these are not meant to be changing how the team plays. They're meant to be correcting mistakes of how people were playing the team. So no changes to Nemesis Claw. Great. What a waste of my time to read. Wrecka Krew. Now, Wrecka Krew, I've been saying for a while, are probably too strong and probably need to be nerfed. Let's see what's happened. Faction rules Wrecka Rampage, you can spend up to 2 of your Wrecka points. That used to be 3. This is probably a good change. 3 Wrecka points kills pretty much anything in the game because you're often 5-6 damage. So only being able to push through 2 makes sense. And then when do I add, oh, that's it. When do I add APL? When do I add to the APL stat of my operative for performing the charge action as a result of the tanked up rule at the start of that action before moving? I thought that had already been added long ago. If not, that must have just been how UK tournaments were custom FAQing it, or maybe we were going off of the Worlds ruling a year ago. Oh, sorry, a year ago, Jesus, 6 months ago. And it just hadn't been added to the official FAQ, but it was definitely being played that way for sure. Cool. Okay, so a tiny nerf for Wrecka Krew. Fine. I don't think that's going to change how the team plays. It was definitely not changing how the team plays at all. But would it change how strong the team is? Arguably, yes. It will probably lower their win rate into elite teams, into Marines. So Marines need a buff. Good. In fairness, sorry, actually, that was obviously pure, raw, unadulterated, unpasteurized sarcasm. But actually, Wrecka Krew are a great counter to Marines. So nerfing that win rate is probably a good thing. They don't need to be worse into other teams, and they're not worse into other teams, so fine. So we now, sorry, who the hell are these? The Hearthkyns. Hearthkyn Salvagers, a team of which, one of the few teams that I've done a very bold and daring, outrageous, one could say. Engorged is just a word I like to say randomly throughout my videos. Paint scheme. And I'm thinking of doing them for my StarCraft Terran army. Okay, moving on. So, Firefight Ploys. The ancestors of... Sorry, to be clear, I don't know this team at all. I'm going to read these things, and I don't know what they're changing. They are all magenta, though. So these are buffs. Right. The ancestors are watching. That operative can perform either free shoot or fire fighter, and you can ignore any changes to that operative weapon stats from being injured. Cool. The jump pack warrior can now move 8. I think before he was 7. I feel this is a buff. I feel the ancestors are watching as well is also a buff. I think that is the shoot twice thing. So you can shoot like as the final action in the turn, I think. But presumably if you were injured, you were injured, and now you're not injured. And then Lugger operative. And in the ready set for the first trap phase, you gain 1 additional CP. And that's really good. So you'll be able to take extra equipment? Question mark. And also gain an additional CP. In general, so I don't know how CP hungry. Sorry, Jesus. I don't know how command point hungry this team is. Let's not discuss the idea of dwarves being CP hungry, but command point hungry. This team is, but in general, if there is an operative out there that will give you an additional CP command point in your team, you do take it. I assume that will be the same for the Hearthkyns. Don't know, but an additional command point is pretty solid. Although, just off the top, oh, that's a lot of changes for the old Wolf Scouts. I'm looking forward to this. But I've already forgotten what I was saying about Hearthkyn Salvagers. I don't care about them. Okay, so Wolf Scouts. Let's take a little hydration break because this is a lot. Okay. What are we doing? Is this where every other content creator comes out and says, actually, I think Wolf Scouts were fine, and I don't know why they're getting nerfed. I was wrong. Fucking idiots, a lot of us. Okay, right. Let's talk about the Elemental Storm faction rules. Each friendly Wolf Scout operative can perform the charge action while it has a concealed order if it ends that action within your storm. Cool. So it used to be start and or end. Now it's just end. Cool. Fine. Good. That's all right. The pack leader operative, instead of being 14 moves, is now 13. Cool. Instigator bolt carbine heavy weapon profile deleted. So the Frost Eye there is your sniper. Now, the big thing I've complained about with him is that it just doesn't align with Kill Team's design goals as I see them, that you have a permanently silent on guard weapon in any team. They have deleted one of the profiles. So I assume I'm going to have to go and check their they've updated its mobile weapon profile. So I will have to go and check the Frost Eye operative now. Let's do that at the end. Frost Eye operative hunters senses action. Select one of the following rules for. That's just an update because they've removed a heavy profile. Fangbearer operative spiritual chirurgy. Chirurgy? I actually don't know. Chirurgy sounds kind of Greek based, so it's probably sure. I don't know. I'll Google it. Off stream. Nobody cares. So instead of all that bollocks, it now says, note that friendly operatives have this rule if you select this operative for the battle, even if it's incapacitated later. Wait, what? So, okay. So, this is your healer, the Fangbearer. It still has a heal, but now... Okay, so they have removed the fact that this team is immune to shock, stun, and changes in APL, which means, I believe, the Fangbearer now only provides ignore injured. Okay, that's a good. So I think that's a good change. However, me personally, I would have kept ignore changes to enemy APL. Wait, but that's the same as ignoring stun. I'm going to move on. Basically, no, I guess you can change an operative's APL in assault intercessors, in AOD. Yeah, fuck them. Okay, just ignore injured. That's cool. Okay, I'm down with it. Thumbs up. Good change. Frost weapons. Whenever a friendly Wolf Scout operative is wholly within your storm, its combat blade, if any, has the lethal 5-up weapon rule. They've taken lethal 4 off the leader. Good. And they've kept lethal 5 only if you're wholly within your storm. Nice. Okay. I think that's fair. I think that's okay, I suppose. Runic charms as faction equipment. Have to be wholly within your storm. Cool. Talismanic trophies, you have to be wholly within your storm. And is fighting or retaliating, you can subtract 1 for the damage inflicted on it from 1 normal success. Yes. Kill team? Devs. Please, God. Please. Either make everything damage reduction on normals only or on everything. Stop fucking around with some things can affect normals and crits, some things can only affect normals. It's weird. I don't like it. Please. Thank you. It should all be everything can only affect normals, or I'm talking about damage reduction, or crits are sacrosanct and never affected. One or the other. Thank you. To be clear, there are still operatives that can ignore damage from crits. I want to throw that out there. Please just pick one. Okay, cool. Those are good changes. Do we have any FAQ erratas? No. Let's go check out the Instigator Bolt Carbine if you're American. Where we at? Trapmaster. I think I met them at the club last night, boy. Sorry, that was very rude of me to say. Gunner, Frost Eye. So, Instigator Bolt Carbine. 4 dice hitting on 3s, 3-4, piercing crits 1, silent. Man, I don't know. What did it used to be? I assumed that the heavy profile was heavy dash only and could hit on 2s. But it's still just silent and you can still guard. All right, well, fuck me then. Who knows? Clearly, I don't know. how Kill Team wants to be perceived as a game. Right, Battleclade. So Battleclade have had some changes. Okay? Battleclade have had some changes. Let's read. Servitor Underseer. Oh, okay. So they've just given it back. You could perform a free dash action. Okay. They clearly they just realized they fucked up and said, let's change that. Fair play. But now perform this action twice during its activation. This operative can perform this action twice during its activation. This is your Underseer operative. Oh, okay. All right. So you can make 2 guys dash. Nice. That makes sense. Yeah. So I don't know. This one feel like okay. Battleclade boys, I apologize. Or Battleclade girls, I apologize. The transhumans among you. This seems questionable. To you, to the fans, not to the devs on this one, because when the Battleclade team got an unintended nerf, which was meant to be a buff, but you all came out of the woodwork and said, "This is the problem. This is what went wrong." Okay, but then the next time I put forwards the amalgamation of what you guys said in my comments, and I've seen dabbled about on other places, and I amalgamated this feedback and processed it as my own true thoughts, of course. And I put that forward. I had more Battleclade transhumans coming in and saying, "Actually, Ed, you've got that completely wrong." And I'm like, "Get your fudging story straight, mate, because you're talking bollocks. You're saying one thing, the left hand isn't talking to the right." And it appears that the devs have buffed it in a way that the original people said was wrong. And they said, that's what we did wrong. We'll fix it that way. So I assume that all of you people that then came and attacked me for having an informed view based on an amalgamation of comments from people that were trying to correct me based on the initial accidental nerf that was actually a buff, but whatever. I assume you're all going to say this doesn't work. This doesn't change anything. We're still fucked. No, because you were lying, of course. Right. Incontentious is on a 4-up, subtract 1 for the inflicted damage. I assume that used to be a 5-up. It's probably a buff. Cool. Concealed apparatus. Once per battle, one combat servitor or gun servitor operative can use another weapon option on its data card it didn't select for the battle. Oh, that's an interesting different one. Okay. Hold on. Let me reread, because that could be insane. Once per battle. Oh, okay, all right, sorry, fine, okay. So this gives you 2 melters in 1 turn. All right, that's fine. For a second, I thought it was going to be, because we've had this exact wording come up before, and we've had it once per battle, an operative can do this thing. And the question is always, do you mean that operative, that specific operative can do it once per battle, and therefore all of my operatives can do it once per battle? Or do you mean, as like, no, one person could do it once per battle. Cool, fine. So you get 2 melter shots. Lovely, nice. Very cool. But also, big improvement, because concealed apparatus, although being a cool idea, and could have worked in some teams, just wasn't needed for this team at all. And then we get neurocyclic reserve cells. So after revealing this equipment option, roll 1d3 once per turn. Oh, great. Perfect. Once per turning point. That's a great buff. So this was one of those things which I made very clear. I just don't like this as a concept in team design, where at the start of the game, if you roll a dice, and then based on that dice roll, you can either do the thing that defines your team for free, or you get fuck all. I'm like, well, is that good design? Not really. So now it's just you can do once per turn. Cool. Very good. I like that change. I would like to see more changes in this vein. I think this is much better. I really don't like roll a d3. Roll a d3 to suck my dick, okay? Fucking hell. Terrible design. It should just be once per turn or once per battle. I think that is much better design. Very good. I approve. Right. What's this? Insidiants? Has anyone even played them? They've had a single errata. No. That's Oh. Was there no changes? Oh no. Insidiant players, I apologize. It was flagged up. They haven't had a change since the January update. That's a shame. I was really curious if they were going to be. I think there's been so much heat on the Murderwing, people don't even know what Celestians do. I think Celestians, I've played them. Can you believe it? Are in a very cool, well, probably can because you've seen the video where I play them, but they're nice and middle of the road. I think if you're a Sisters player, you should be really happy with Celestians. They're in a great spot. They're not going to get nerfed. We know that much. Probably get buffed soon. Would be a bit of a guess for me. Celestian players, how do you feel about no changes? This is, you know what? I'm going to refresh. I'm going to refresh just in case. I want to make sure I haven't missed a Celestian buff. I have not missed a Celestian buff. Okay. Interesting. Interesting. Cool team. I think they landed exactly where new teams should land. Sweet. I suspect that there will be some dedicated Sisters players that will make Celestians rock and absolutely dominate with them. But for most people, because they're just that little bit harder to play than an elite team, it's not going to have that draw for the elite team players. And it's not a horde team. It's not Imperial. It's icky girls, you know, and we're all children. We're all, you know, we've all got one eye on the manosphere while we're painting. So obviously nobody wants to play them. A bit of a shame they didn't get a buff. Is what it is. Celestians, no buff. Bit of a shame. Now the scouts have had huge changes again, I think. Okay, let's have a read. It's not huge changes. It's 3 changes. So, faction equipment, heavy weapon bipod, faction equipment deleted, and tactical vox link added. We'll go check that in a sec. Heavy gunner operative, heavy weapon bipod, additional rule, which we will also go and check. Sergeant operative, guidance and experience, you no longer, so they just have to be in the kill zone. They no longer need to be visible or within 6. So just, you get to do it for free. Cool. That's the +1 APL. Your sergeant is your comms, basically. Now you don't have to put him in a specific position. You just always get to +1 APL wherever you want. That's a nice quality of life change. I approve. Let's go check out the heavy weapon and the tactical vox link. Tactical vox link. Once per turn, you can use the Astartes training or emboldened aspirant firefighter ploy for zip. Okay. Jesus Christ. Okay, I'll come back to that. Emboldened aspirant and Astartes training are things that allow you to shoot more. There you go. Astartes training is you can shoot twice or fight twice. Emboldened aspirant is us. We can find out as we scroll up, I guess. Emboldened aspirant is good fight rerolls as first. Oh yeah, so if you're the first guy, you get something. I don't know what the fuck this is at all. Has my opponent ever played this into me? So when you're shooting or fighting, if you're the first friendly operative to perform either of those actions during this turn, or if the enemy operative in that action has a higher wound stat, you can retain one of your normals as a crit. Oh, okay, all right. And you're doing it when you shoot or fight, after reroll. Oh, so you get to see what you've rolled first. Okay, interesting. And you can do it, if you can do it for free, that's great. But there's also shoot twice. Started training, perform 2 shoots, 2 fights, although it has to be a shotgun, bolt pistol, or bolt gun, or 2 shoot actions with a heavy, but it costs you additional AP. Okay, fine. Yeah. So you can do either of those free. That's pretty nice. That is a guaranteed use every turn. So that equipment is, in essence, 4 command points. That's mad. Okay. Well, let's go find the heavy weapon bipod. And let's not forget, they get extra command points already. Interesting. Heavy gunner. Whenever this weapon is distributed for a dead card, it hasn't moved during the activation. So if you haven't moved, or it's a counteract, you get ceaseless. If the weapon already has that weapon rule, from the ambush trap ploy. It has relentless. And then you can still move afterwards. Cool, sounds good. And they all have heavy dash now. So does your sniper. Interesting. I could talk more about scouts. I end up playing into them relatively often. I think they've got source, but they're getting buffed so much. I'm clearly wrong, and they don't have source. Right, moving on. Right, Kassakin. What if they had changed? They've just been buffed to the tits, but they cannot be the same. What knob jockey? Not even reading that. Ridiculous people out there. Right, we then have the stealth suits. I'm really interested to see how much they've done. Okay, so there's only 3 updates. Interesting. So focused marker light, unique action added. So I'll have to go read that. Neutralizer operative, multi-spectrum sensor package rule. They don't need to be within. They don't need to be visible. They only have to be within 8. Cool. And then basically new faction equipment, counter network jammers. Strategic gambit. Select one objective marker or mission marker. Until the end of the turning point, whenever determining control of that marker, treat the total APL stat of enemy operatives that contest it as 1 lower, if at least one of those enemy operatives is within 3 of a friendly Stealth Battlesuit operative. Note, this isn't a change to the APL stat, so any changes are cumulative. I don't know what that used to be. I don't care. Right, let's find out what a focus marker light unique action is on the designator operative. Where are we looking? That's a neutralizer, a lodestar, a liberator, an infiltrator, a designator, focused marker light. Cost you 1 AP. Select and sorry, to clarify, it cannot perform this action while within control range of an enemy operative. Or what does it do? Select one enemy operative visible to this operative. Once during this turning point, when a friendly operative is shooting that enemy operative, you can use this effect. If you do, improve the hits out of that friendly operative's range weapons by 1 until the end of that action. Okay, hold on. So, in your designator's turn, you spend an AP to point at a guy, or a girl, or a gay, and say they have to be visible. That at some point, doesn't have to be the next, but presumably the next, you can shoot it. When you are friendly to yourself, you can use this effect. If you do improve the hits out of that friendly operative's weapon by 1. Okay. Cool. So, obviously the intention here is designator dicks around at the back of the board, looks at the dude and says, you're dead. And then your melter comes up, pumps them full of hot melter. But of course, you can do it yourself. Sorry, fusion blaster, not a melter. We're not so primitive among the Tau Empire to use a melter. We use fusion. Thank you. Obviously, ideally, or sorry, not ideally, it is possible that you can do this yourself. So you can move, focus marker light, shoot. You could do that if you wanted. Make it a bit more or a bit less telegraphed. You got 2 ways of doing this. Either you are kind of playing off the designator kind of then goes into your queue of the thing that I want to do in this after they've activated so they can't escape me is I'm going to designate and then fusion blaster them. Or, whereas before it just used to be, okay, I'm going to fusion blaster as my last action. Now you want to designate a fusion blaster, that kind of thing. Okay, interesting, cool. It's always good fun to talk about the fact that the Tau have 4 up hits. Stupid, it's dumb. We all know it. Especially Stealth Battlesuits. I think there's a good way of doing it, I suppose. Because it's an APL3 team, you can't give them all focus marker light. But I think there's definitely a play where focus marker light becomes a piece of equipment you can use twice a turn. Yeah, there you go. If it doesn't work here, piece of equipment, use twice a turn. I don't like twice a turn use equipment, but you got to do what you got to do. We then get Canoptek. At this point, I'm assuming a buff. Oh, the Tomb Crawlers has changed to 18 from 21. Interesting. How does that change the team? Okay. So 21 was ridiculous. I don't like it. Bad change. There you go. The thing is, I don't think this fundamentally changed the team at all. Why did it need this further nerf? And especially in a way that, to me, in my incredibly limited view, doesn't change the fundamental flaw of this team. The fundamental flaw of the team, of course, being the fact that it was still a good team. Let's be clear, Canoptek's still strong. Changing them from 21 to 18, inherently good because the team's still probably a little bit overperforming. Once pro players, better players than I, obviously, just realised that it was still a good team, they jumped back on it. This will probably deter them further, which is good. Get the fuck away from this team. But I genuinely think that the main issue with this team is that the medics can revive the Tomb Crawlers. Keep the Tomb Crawlers at 21. Just say they can't be revived. Done. You're welcome. And then finally, Ratlings, a team that I always have an eye on. Let's see what they got. Will this be what brings me back to them over the arguably now pretty interesting thematic update to Blades of Khaine, or the Scouts with another round of buffs, or we've just had AOD win a big tournament, which means I can finally play Deathwatch because nobody thinks they're strong anymore. Okay, let's have a look. Bomber, Spotter, Stash Master, and Vox Thief Operative Sniper Rifle Mobile Weapon Profile. Hit chat change to 3+. These all used to be 4s. So this is a buff. So basically, all of the mobile profiles changed to 3+. Is that true? Let me have a double read. Sniper Rifle Mobile, Sniper Rifle Suppressed. Okay, yeah. All mobile weapons hit on 3s instead of 4s. Nice. Now, I will say, from my limited time playing Rat Boys, I don't think I ever took a mobile shot in a game that I won. Yeah. I think for new Ratters, this is going to be a little bit of a trap. You're not meant to be shooting your mobile profile. That's not how you get kills. Moving on. Spotter Operative now reads until the end of the turning point. Whenever a friendly Ratting Operative within 3... What did that used to be? I genuinely don't know what that used to be. Until the end of the turning point, whenever a friendly Rattling Operative within 3 of this operative is shooting that enemy up, I thought it was. Because it wouldn't be the end of your turn, or sorry, your action, because the whole point of this is that somebody else is going to come along, get within range of the spotter, and then shoot you unobscured. So what else could it have been? Or is this... It's magenta, so it's a balance update. It's not blue and just confirming something. Oh, you know what I think it could be? The spotter used to be one operative. So one guy could come along and take the spotted shot. And now it's just anybody. So often with the spotter, it's always a thing that I would have liked to have set up and have the big gun, you know, your big shot, that's literally what it's called, dash in with their scarper and take the unobscured shot. Or something like that, right? But that was always very difficult to set up, and inevitably the spotter used to just be their own operative. So they would be a guy that could remove obscurity for themselves, because you only take heavy shots. There's no point shooting with anything else. You take your heavy shots, which means you only shoot after a scarper, right? Which means the spotter would scarper, and then in their activation, they were going to shoot anyway. But you can just spot yourself because you have a spare APL. Because after your heavy shot, you're not doing anything. So that's interesting. That's really good. Big buff. I like it. Good stuff. So odd as it might sound, I don't think that the 3-up save or hit, is any good for this team. I'm talking purely about how to shoot into elites. There's just no point shooting a 3/3 weapon into an elite team, right? Because you don't have dev. You need to be shooting dev. You need to get crits. That's how this team works. really into elite teams, you're looking to shoot twice a turn. That's it. That's all you're fishing for, because you want those shots when you've got your lethal 5 up. So you're guaranteed you're getting more crits. Because if you can just roll 2 5-ups with 4 dice, you've basically killed a Marine, you know? Like, you can then take care of them with an Ogryn or something. So going to 3s, I have shot Marines in the past with a 3/3 weapon, and I don't see the point in doing it. So, yeah, I guess. Cool. Well, that's it. We're done. We're done, everybody. Just under an hour. Okay, everybody. If you made it to the end, how do you feel about that? The things that stick out to me immediately are Wolf Scout nerfs, good. I'm sure every content creator will change their tune now and say, "Oh, they were fine, actually. Oh, I'm a fucking idiot." And I'll say that too. You know what? Leave a comment about how I think that. Sorry, I rescind everything I just said. Wolf Scouts have been unjustly targeted by a hate campaign against anti-Space Wolf terrorist groups, and I think they were perfectly balanced. And I think it's incorrect. I think it's morally wrong of GW to have nerfed them. There you go. Nice. I think the changes to Ratlings here, I would call buffing for effect. I think Ratlings are probably fine, but nobody's playing them. Now people might play them because they've had a minor buff, perhaps with the +3s, a buff to allow them to be a bit more flexible, be a touch more effective in bad situations, maybe, which is good. I think I don't know what Battleclade's going to do, but hopefully get more play. That's the key. Like, who cares if they perform better? So just hope they get more play. And scouts. At the moment, my local who plays scouts isn't playing scouts, so I might play scouts for a little bit. But I also want to play Aquilons. Maybe some Vespid. No, I don't like Vespid. Maybe some Aquilons. And we've just had AOD win the Maastricht Open, which is cool. We also had Kimband do incredibly well. Maybe I should learn how to play them. But everyone's going to be playing AOD and Kimband now. And you know what, guys? That's a bloody terrible meta, isn't it? Jesus. Hey, what are the problem factions? Angels of Death, Kroot. Oh, so you mean total opposites? Great. Fine. Good. So yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. That's for sure. Yes, very interesting. I will. Another team that I've wanted to get into, I will say, is Celestian Insidiants. I don't think they're for me. Obviously, we have a new team coming out at some point whenever that hits. Fingers crossed, it's a team that is really good, but nobody can see it, so I can play it. That's the dream. That's the dream. Yeah. What do you think about the team buffs and nerfs? Honestly, I think everything here was pretty solid. There were only a few changes that I thought didn't make any sense, but great. I love having these quarterly. This sounds like I'm being sarcastic. That's just my tone of voice. I apologize. I genuinely do really enjoy these balance resets. I think they're really fun. I think it lets everyone look at the game, look at new teams again for the first time. You know, that's really good. So drop a comment. If you made it to the end of the video, I'd like to give you a big triple hello. Please use my affiliate links. Times are hard. And please check out their affiliate links because time is hard for these people too. If you buy their stuff, they will be hard. Thank you. Bye.